Sandra, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Emiliana. It's such a pleasure to share time with you. Yeah,
amazing. We're super excited to hear all about your work.
Yeah.
So what does it exactly mean to be a psychospiritual alignment coach?
To be a psychospiritual alignment guide means that I'm supporting people in developing their personality, being here in the world, doing all my traumas, my wound work, my desire, really working through all of my psychological functions so that I can be in the center of myself. From that place, I can connect to spirit. So I'm developing my personality and I'm supporting people in developing their personality so that their soul can express and fuse everything with it. So it is a way of finding deep center within oneself and allowing these supra qualities or higher essence or highest self to be so infused with my being that that becomes my way of life.
I love that. And what is some of the things that you see with the people that you work with? Like, especially, what are the most common traits that you find with the people that come to you?
A lot of the people that are coming to me are looking for a couple things. They're looking to expand their vision, expand their potential, right? They're out there in the world. A lot of the people that are luckily coming to me are already doing beautiful things in the world, but they're lacking some sort of meaning, or they're lacking what they feel that it's their purpose, their like life's truth. And although they are thriving in many ways, they want to infuse and create a synthesis so that their gifts can be shared in a more authentic way. People also come to me looking to get rid of things that they don't like about their personality. And a lot of my work is about inviting people to fall in love with the different parts of their psyche that perhaps have been disowned, not cherished, and actually include them and transcend them and gain the gifts of that. And so I work with people designing their purpose. In a way, we look at what's my purpose, and we spend all this time looking for my purpose out there, and we're just like, oh my God, to create so much suffering in our life. And really, you know, the all the voices of like what's happened, everybody needs to know the purpose, and people are looking outside. We're all looking outside. We have all looked outside, but really our purpose is us. Our purpose is our story. Our purpose is our gifts. Our purpose is the things that light us up, turn us on at a soul level. Our purpose is the thing that feels like vital truth to every cell of my being. And that's why I allow people, I guide people, I support people in unraveling, taking off the layers of the blockages that have been disempowering. A lot of the stuff that does not just come with one lifetime, right? A lot of our stuff that has been passed down through generations and lineage and being underrepresented or coming from different cultures and different, you know, colonial rule or the witch hunts or whatever. Like, we carry a lot of stuff in our body and a lot of our gifts from our ancestors too, and we want to get really open, clear out the channel, which is to me this beautiful one system antenna of consciousness, which is our mind, our body, our soul, all together, so that we can tune into self and express that in a really authentic and truthful way.
I love that. I love your work. I've witnessed it. I've lived it. I've gone through it. It's amazing. And I want to go back to something you mentioned that was really important, and it's people wanting to get rid of certain parts of themselves. I mean, at some point, I think we've all been wanting to get rid of parts of ourselves. So what is one thing that you have seen that your clients try to get rid of, and then how do you work through that, and what do you recommend for them to integrate those parts of themselves that maybe need more love?
Yeah, so the work that I do is heavily based on a concept called subpersonalities and psychosynthesis, which is the system that I guide people through. And subpersonalities is what we would also call shadows, right? In this modern hippie, hip conversation. But really, a subpersonality is just a split in our psyche that has been disowned, that we have, seen as something that we don't like about ourselves, or something that perhaps we're witnessing in the world that we dislike. And our work is to actually own it back, like give it presence. And really the invitation is for everybody to get sensitive enough with what is the motion that their energy is taking, right? The emotions that are coming up into our lives, to work with them, include them, pay attention to them, because they're telling us what is out of integrity, what is in integrity. So a lot of the parts that we don't like about ourselves are actually like calling out for to be seen. It's like the teenager that never got his parents to witness them, you know. And so they're there. These parts tend to you know, to like have unconscious expressions and like, you know, get us in trouble sometimes because they need maturity. And what we need to do for all the parts that perhaps we don't like, or perhaps the parts that we are denying that are parts of us, is to give them presence and give them attention and give them the space and the time they need to develop so that we can access their gifts. Because what we are not really told so much is that our shadows, our subpersonalities, they don't only have our distortions, but they also have our gifts. They carry the imprint of why we were shut down, you know, why we were too much. All of that is our unique soul was expressing so loudly and so freely, and all of a sudden that was too much. Our freedom was too much in a world that is rational and led by disconnection, and that's the world that we came into. And so it's really the practice of self-liberation through inclusion, acceptance, allowing, and transcendence.
I love that. I love that. What led you into this work? Because it's very deep, meaningful work. And as you speak, I always look for, you know, when I'm interviewing someone, to truly feel that they've lived what they preach.
My goodness, yeah.
And you do that.
Yeah, I think that I was very lucky now looking back. But I come from a challenging childhood with many people, many caretakers. I lived in many different homes, and I had to be a shapeshifter to be seen. When we're children, the currency is love, and so shifting myself to make other people happy really made me forget who was I. And so in this search, in this incredible lifelong search for who is the I that it's not rooted in my identities, but who is the essence of me, has been through, you know, my practices of exploring behaviorism. I have a background in acting, which I love, and I'm super passionate about human behavior, human development, sociology, our culture, like how we are part of our environment and how it influences us. And also my background as a yogi, the study of the self, the study of who am I beyond my body, who am I beyond my thoughts, my emotions. And merging that really has been my way of finding, tapping in, connecting to the truest true for me in this now moment. Is an artistic creation, you know, the freedom to know myself as just an artistic, creative part of the whole creation, you know. And so it has been my own desire to get to know who is beyond all the roles that I play, and who is beyond, and what is that part of me that is way more than my belief systems, way more than my emotions. To gain that clarity has freed my life in such a miraculous way. So much shame, you know, as women we carry a lot of shame, but also like we have dealt with abuse, we have left with being under represented, like so much of that, right? And it's not just women, it's all of us. And so like really owning that a lot of our stuff needs we need care, and we need presence, and like our parents were doing the best they could. And so the work that I do at the core is really self-parenting, you know, like becoming such a good adult that I can take really good care of my inner psyche, of my body, of my emotions, and be a full expression of health and vitality, because that's what the world needs. More antennas or open channels, you know, so that we can be expanding the collective consciousness. Long answer.
That's a beautiful answer, but it was perfect. So health and vitality, and that's very aligned with what we're doing here at AUREA Leaders, creating conscious entrepreneurships. You're living it, you're embodying it, you're giving it and being of service to everyone that's coming here into the community, so that's beautiful. We're also very mindful of becoming and embodying heart-led leadership and guiding people from a place of empathy, compassion, understanding, because it's more of what the world needs as well, right? And it speaks a lot to what you say about care and becoming our own parents, and really learning to truly reparent ourselves in the way that we understand love, that we need love, that we need to be taken care of.
Yeah.
So I love that, and with that I'll ask you, what does AUREA mean to you, and what does the golden age mean to you, especially when it comes to health and vitality?
Yeah, thank you for that. What does it mean to me? I think it's a choice. Really, it's a choice. You know, whatever world we think we live in, we are right. There's always validation for what we believe, and it's not something that we're going to get to, it's something that we get to be. So the golden age is really an opportunity for us to show up in our highest expression, in connecting with the best environments that we can to create greater impact individually in our personal lives, collectively in our communities, beyond, right? Like creating greater contribution. The golden age is really understanding that we're not here by accident. We're not. Like it's, you know, like the miracle of being alive. We're not here remembering, having all these moments of remembrance for no reason, of understanding who soul is, right? Like I used to be this crazy kid, like having these weird questions, and like the people that I was having these deep questions were people in their 60s. I have conversations with kids in their, you know, teens, and they're speaking about spirit and soul nowadays.
Yeah.
And so it's really embodying the highest vibratory resonance of joy, of love and adventure, of play and pleasure, of permission, because that's how you'll be able to truly express what turns you on at a high level, what your purpose is.
I love that. I love that. Do you want to add anything else that maybe I didn't ask you?
What do I want to add? Yeah, I think that there is a beautiful gift to treating ourselves with the reverence that we would treat any God that walks into our house. And having that visual for self, to love ourselves the same way that we would treat a deity in our presence. To love ourselves to such a level that we have this true devotion to the development and the exploration of our soul is the best thing we can do for everyone around us. And I'd like to add with that our soul is not just this thing that is in us. It's actually, we're inside of our soul, and our body is the densest part of that. But it's not a separation. And to start really taking care of how do I express the qualities of my soul, it needs to start with the little tiny acts of how I care for my third 3D body, my composition. And that's not only through food, through environment, but also what are the thoughts, what are the vibrations that I'm putting into this body. It's super important that we become picky and choosy about what we're entertaining. Our attention is our greatest resource, And if we can learn to lead our attention from the center of our hearts, which is the seat of the soul, you know, in mysticism throughout the ages, if I can learn to lead my attention from the center of myself, I'm able to create at will, meaning I'm able to be creator on earth. Mm-hmm. And that is beautiful. So my invitation for everybody is like tap in, check in, like do all the things that you need to do to find yourself in integrity. So use your emotions, because they are your greatest teachers. And also, like, they're not always the right guides for what we should do. You use them, you learn from them, and you also use your intellect to guide you on what you need in that moment. So the work for yourself, the development, the investment of your time, of your resources in learning about yourself is the best gift that in today's age we can give to our communities, to our families, to our loved ones. So yeah, I hope that resonates.
I agree, and it resonates 100%. Thank you for your time, for your presence, for your sharing your gifts, and thank you guys for being here at AUREA Leaders.
Love you so much.
Me too.